And welcome back to DFH Stadium, one of the most beautiful stadiums out in the middle of nowhere. Apparently, by the looks of this patent view, we've got a stacked audience here tonight. Over, if I'm looking at those correctly, over 80 people in the audience tonight, alongside all of the tens and thousands of eggs watching on at home. And we thank you all for tuning in to MLE Esports. I am your host, Fallen. Once again, we have got some absolutely stacked gameplay coming up for you. And joining me once again as my co-host for this evening is the one, the only Lars New. Lars, we have an incredible series coming up, but what a series we just witnessed.
Yeah, that series, the Wizards coming out and showing up really strong, getting that 4-1 win over the Comets that they oh so needed. They could have, if they just edged out the 5-0, it would have made them tied up, but now it puts them in a better position to make that run towards the playoffs at the end of the season here as we wind down, getting ready to get to our playoff runs. But moving on and moving up, we're now in the Champion League with the Pandas versus the Shadow. Here in the Tropic Division, this is a packed division. It is tight. The way this is set up right now, it could come down to potentially, in certain scenarios, a single goal being the difference in a three-way tie. So this is huge for every team involved. The Pandas and the Shadow playing now, and then the Sharks and the Flames playing later on twitch.tv/MLE Esports GG2. If you haven't followed, make sure you give them a check. You check them out as well. But everybody here needs every last goal, not even just every last game.
Yeah, in the case of the two teams on screen, we have the Pandas currently sat in second in the division with a 30-25. If I am reading the stats correctly, they are currently a game behind the division leaders, the Sharks, who are sat at 31-24. If the Pandas are to take a 5-0 win and the Sharks are to take anything but a 5-0, they will take the lead mathematically in the standings. However, on the opposite side of the field, you have the Shadow sat at 27-28. 3 games behind the Pandas, 4 games behind the division leaders. There has never been more on the table in this series, and right now both teams are looking to come out strong here going into game number 1, and the lineups we've got are some of the strongest lineups that we have seen out of both of these teams.
Yeah, we've got Broski, Jazz, and Gualbertos playing for the Pandas, and on the other side of the field, excuse me, having a small stroke. For the Shadow, we've got Luna's Protector and Snazzy, is what we'll be calling them for tonight, which that is, we got the potential for some high-flying action here. The Shadow coming in a little bit higher on MVPR, so this will be an interesting matchup between the Pandas and the Shadow.
Yeah, and as we get game number 1 underway, you've got to be thinking that Gualbertos and Broski Jazz are going to look to come out strong. They have the mathematical advantage coming into this series. They need to continue their run of form, and if they are able to do so, while neither team can secure a position in the playoffs, they will certainly extend their position of dominance in their division. It is all to play for, and right now the Pandas have taken the majority of control. A pass into the midfield will look for Gualbertos. A good dodge from the demo there from Snazzy, was almost underway past Broski Jazz, and a great block there from Broski to clear that one away. Neither team finding a great shot to start things off here today, and really I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen an early goal.
No, we've got lots of good looks towards the net, lots of good opportunities. Speaking of which, Broski Jazz finding that one there, catching the Shadow with a mistouch, a double commit, and then just nothing in transition to get back for defense. Broski Jazz easily tucks that one away.
It happened. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, you have been blessed with a fallen curse. It had to happen at some point. It was bound to happen, and it happens in the favor of the Pandas. Broski Jazz with the opening goal of this series. They're going to set a tone here for the Pandas to show that they are the dominant team in this matchup. And right now, they are finding all of the possession and all of the boosts. An attempted pass in field there from Broski won't find anyone but Snazzy, who will look to try and clear this one and send it towards the midfield, but Luna's not able to read that pass well. Gualbertos looking for the angle here, can't find it. Luna's with a great rotation back will get that clearance away, only as far as Broski, before sending it off his own backboard and clearing it to the midfield line.
I'm noticing something here out of the Shadow, and it's repeated double commits. It happens every once in a while. At every level, you're going to get double commits as you try to keep the pace up and get pressure on. But the Shadow are making double commits not even when they've got lots of pressure. So I'd really like to see them settle down a little bit, work on their communication a little bit, and could stop putting themselves in these awkward positions.
Yeah, there is a lot to ride on this series, and the last thing you need are double commits as they both commit again there. Luna's going a country mile away from the ball, now forced to rotate back post, will make a great diving save to keep out Broski Jazz, who will credit him in chat with a what a save. It is the greatest honor when you actually make a good save to receive a what a save from your opponents, and not the toxic way, which is not allowed here in this MLE community. Either way, Luna's now looking to try and get a goal back, will find the open net, and immediately the Shadow will respond here to take a even game here at half-time.
That's a nice bump from Luna's protector to kind of push Sanazi away and get a little bit more free space there. To push, Broski Jazz away, to get a little more free space, get a little more openness, and Gualberto's kind of nowhere to be found, expecting that ball to get cleared away, but that's right back the other way. Speaking of Gualberto's, off the wall with a beautiful touch, lots of power off the kickoff.
That is why you always look to get a better kickoff than your opponents and not let it roll back into your own half. A poor kickoff there from the Shadow left them wanting on defense, and just like that, the Pandas are back in front. Half a game to go, they lead 2-1, and they're looking quite comfortable so far, with the Shadow only having the fewest of opportunities to get something going. But this game is far from over, whilst Gualberto's tries to dribble it out of his own half. Smart play there, keeping control of the ball to not allow the Shadow an easy ball to collect. Another opportunity will fall at the feet of Gualberto's, but Luna will get there in time. Snazzy will look to now do it himself. That ball's going to float in front of the net, but Luna's out of position and backwards, won't be able to make the shot there and maybe put it on target. An opportunity again for Broski, won't find its way past the last defender, and really both teams are just throwing the ball back and forth in a sort of cyclical fashion here, throwing it from one corner to the other, rotating all the way around the pitch over and over. But now the Pandas have broken the cycle and will make it 3-1. Broski will slot that one home.
Not a whole lot to mention here on this goal. It's just good pressure upfield, taking advantage of the fact that Luna's protector just misses the aerial, and if you're going to have your last person back miss that clear, it's kind of inevitable, especially here at the Champ League level, the C2, C3 level play. If you give them the ball that close to the net, they're going to score. Something I want to point out here, though, looking at the stat line, we've got one goal on one shot from the Shadow, and that's it. They have not had another look at the net ever since that early goal. The Pandas, on the other hand, have put 9 shots towards the net, and when you allow a team to be that lopsided in the shooting differential, it almost inevitably leads to being just as lopsided in the goals.
Yeah, one of the things we saw in the earlier series, despite the fact that one of the teams was consistently on the defensive front, the Comets were consistently on defense, they were able to push forward and get opportunities. It was just that they were being outclassed in the shooting department. They weren't able to find a way past the defense, but right now, the Shadow's defense, they're not getting into any offensive pressures. Both players commit there. That's an open look for Gualberto's, who will slot it home, bottom corner. 4-1. The Shadow, they're looking all over the place here as the Pandas look cool, calm, and collected.
This is kind of the opposite of game number 1 of our last series, where we saw 2 very even teams come out and really slug it out, develop rapidly throughout that game to try to find an edge. Where here, we're seeing the Pandas come out dominant, and it just continues, and it's less so on the back of the Pandas creating their own opportunities and more on the side of the Shadow handing them opportunities, with the missed clears giving a couple of goals, the double commits leading to a couple of goals. If they continue with this play style and this inconsistent play style, then we know how this series is going to end up. But we're going to be heading towards a short 60-second break between these 2 games. They need to take their time to mentally reset, talk about what they need to do, and really figure it out, because if they lose in game 2, it's going to really destroy momentum through the rest of the series.
Yeah, and to think that every single game in this series matters. We do actually have the other series that really matters in this division coming up later for you on MLE Esports GG2. It will be the series after this one if you want to go check it out. It will be all to play for in that series between the Flames and the Sharks. But right now, the Pandas and the, oh my lord, I have forgotten, the Shadow are slugging it out, and the Pandas have taken game number 1 here in this 5-match series. They looked like the much better team throughout all of that game.
And you can see it. I mean, I don't generally like to use the stat line to show or illustrate a point, because the stat line can really hide a lot of what's going on. But here it says it plain as day. Look at this, 11 shots for the Pandas to the Shadow again. Only 1 shot coming out of game number 1 here. they had some good looks, but it just was so wildly inconsistent that it's kind of inevitable that this is how it's going to end up if they continue, again, like I said, with the inconsistent play style. Pandas, I feel like there's nothing new to say here. We kind of discussed it all through the series. Shadow are handing opportunities to Pandas, and Pandas are capitalizing. If the Shadow can clean up their act a little bit, stop with the double commits, settle down a little bit, stop making the mistouches, stop whiffing, stop putting the ball in front of their own net, then it's going to force the Pandas to create opportunities. And that's an entirely different ball game. And you don't know from what we've seen here if the Pandas are up to that task. But the only way to find out is if the Shadow can step up.
Yeah, and one of the things I want to point out is the fact that the Pandas so far in this series, specifically Broski Jazz, has 100% goal participation, had 2 goals for himself, had the 2 assists that teed up Gualberto's to put those shots away. He was consistently a part of that offensive pressure and has really been putting the Shadow to the sword here, or to the bamboo stick in the case of the Pandas. And as we look to game number 2, the stream didn't catch your laugh there, but trust me, I caught it and it was absolutely beautiful. The Pandas, they're looking to take that bamboo stick and, well, I can't really say that that's NSF MLE, but we do have a good series on here, and can the Pandas continue this run of form? Can they find a way to keep shutting down the Shadow's offensive opportunities and really take the series away before it gets going?
Again, it's all going to come down to this is the Shadows series to take or lose if they can just settle down and figure it out. But so far, Pandas making a dominant statement. We're over 30 seconds in, and we have yet to see the Shadows make any real pressure as the Pandas honestly doing more to protect the Shadow than the Shadow are themselves.
Yeah, a good clearance away there from one of the Pandas players. I believe that was Gualberto's, who was just caught as he rotated out after his pass in field. But right now, the Pandas, they have the lion's share of possession, and Snazzy forced to make a great stop across his goal line to keep that one out. There are good players on the Shadow. It just feels like the chemistry is not there right now. Snazzy will look to go up for this one. Will beat out Gualberto, send it into the Pandas half. Has to beat Broski. That one will center. Can Lunas get there? He's a long way back, but he'll get the shot. It's straight at Broski Jazz, however, and the Pandas, off of the first shot in this game for the Shadow, will save it, clear it away, and maybe turn it into an attack of their own.
Just want to come full circle and point out something that we talked about in the last series is when you see that ball floating, you have 2 options. You can challenge immediately or you have to wait. And we saw that here with the Pandas. That ball floated center. No one got up to immediately. So Broski Jazz sitting patiently in net, waiting to see what's going to happen before making a decision. And it just comes back to what the Pandas are doing with great decision making and doing a good job of taking advantage of where the Shadow are and what the Shadow are doing.
It feels like the Shadow, every time they take a touch, both of the players will go for the second one. That's a good pass, though, and that's a great shot from Snazzy to slow that ball down and put it beyond the last defender. A great pass there from Luna to beat one, and the Shadow will take the lead here in game number 2.
That's such a great way to find an advantage. When you have a team that's been so dominant and really kind of crushed you through game number 1, passing plays is an awesome way to open up that defense as this one's coming right back. Snazzy able to clear that one away easily. And this may be a goal going back the other way. Yes, It is. Shadow getting quick 2 back-to-back.
Yeah, that one sort of came out of nowhere. I looked away for a split second, but that is showing the quality of each individual Shadow player. Snazzy there doing a great job to just beat up the man at the near post, in the corner, and able to clear that one away onto an open there. Oh my lord, the caffeinated, nondescript beverage is going to my head right now. Luna's now looking to send this one towards the net. Good save there from Broski, but a double commit on defense. And the Pandas, they look shook right now as Snazzy will triple the lead and get them a hat-trick before halftime.
Well, you mentioned caffeinated, nondescript beverage because the only caffeinated beverage worth describing is some balls guarana. But back to the game.
Beautiful.
The Shadow, we see this happen a lot. Where I mentioned last series different kind of things that happen which is you end up with teams getting loose when they get down in a series. Here is kind of the opposite of it. When you have a team come out very dominant through a game or two, when the script flips on them, it flips hard. They get thrown for a loop. They're not used to being under that kind of pressure, and it ends up really scrambling them and giving even more opportunities to the team that's flipped the script.
Yeah, I want to apologize in chat for not picking balls Guarana. They were sold out, is my excuse. They weren't in the local store, so I had to pick a nondescript caffeinated beverage. I apologize. Oh, but Luna will not apologize for that shot. That was almost a beautiful ground pitch into the back of the net. And Snazzy's shot is just off target. Almost drifted down into the corner, but he will take the ball away from his teammate. Panda's now looking for a counter-attacking opportunity, but a good trip from Snazzy will keep Broski away from the ball for just long enough that they can reset on defense. The Shadow hold on to their 3-goal lead here, and the Pandas, they don't have that same level of consistency, that same level of quality that got them that game win in game 1, because they're now down 4-0 in game number 2.
This is the complete opposite of game number 1, obviously, as we watch the Shadow go up 4-0. But let's as long as we're talking about stats, let's refer back to the stats. We kind of harped on a little bit in game number 1. We had 11 shots to 1 for the Pandas against the Shadow in game 1. Here we are with 1:30 left. 10, now 11 shots for the Shadow to 4 from the Pandas. And just like we said with game number 1, when you let a team majorly outshoot, it leads to big goal differentials.
Yeah, and right now, the Pandas don't seem to have any answer to the Shadow's offensive pressure. They're being caught too far up the field multiple occasions, and just the pace change out of the Shadow has really sent the Pandas sort of scrambling on defense. They don't know how to deal with this additional pace and commitment from the Shadow players. That there is, however, a mistake from them, but Lunas had already rotated back into position to clear that one away. A brilliant rotation from him to keep that one away, but the chemistry starting to click for the Shadow. You're starting to see why they are two very good players on an individual level, as well as on a team level. Broski looking for the double tap, can't find it, and the shot from Gorbertos cannot find the back of the net. 20 seconds remain in game number 2. It is basically secured for the Shadow, and really this sort of came out of nowhere.
I mean, like we said, it's just the complete flip from game number 1, but we've seen the Pandas start to slow it down a little bit. When they start to kind of wear off that shell shock, shake it loose, and get their heads back in the game, we saw the Shadow slow down offensively. We just never saw the Pandas pick it back up the other way, if that makes sense. Luna's Protector securing the 0-second goal here. That is unfortunate for the Pandas, because what they really need at the end here was some sort of hope and momentum, but Luna's Protector takes it away. Luna Protector, a veteran of MLE here, been around for a little while. It's definitely a familiar name, but I want to talk about how maybe the Pandas can pick up a couple of goals here. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to throw back to the board real quick. So I hope that's something you enjoy, because I know it's something I enjoy. Let's talk about how the Pandas can maybe pick up some goals on this Shadow team. The Shadow have a tendency to push very, very far upfield, getting very aggressive, and where that gives an advantage possibly to the Pandas is they need to start making transition plays up the field to start scoring goals. What that's going to look like is as you scoop this ball up and you drive it up the field, have that second player already up behind where the Shadow have set up their kind of attacking line. Be looking for that pass upfield. The other place you can do that is second player rotates, tries to challenge the ball, hit it or not, continue out up towards the wall. Second player, send it towards the wall, be looking for that redirect back down towards the net. And the last thing you can do is second player, as they come out, that Shadow, again, upfield aggressively, look to bump and disrupt and allow that follow-up player to just come straight up the field.
Yeah, some great knowledge there coming out from Lars New. And we do have a question in Twitch for you, Mr. Knowledge himself. How does one ball chase?
Oh, I can help with this one. So what you're going to want to do is if you see the ball anywhere, you're going to use your ball cam really aggressively, and then say the ball is here, you drive at it. And say your teammate's here, they got a much better opportunity, you continue to drive at it. That's simple. Keep it there.
Got it. Oh no, someone has found my emote. That is horrific. Okay, moving back to the gameplay, because that is the important part and what you've all tuned in for. The Pandas and the Shadow 1-1 after game number 1. And right now, Snazzy is looking to immediately make it 2-1 for the Shadow as he takes a 1-goal lead 8 seconds into this one.
The Shadow just continuing that momentum they've built through game number 2, and this unfortunately is setting itself up to be another high-scoring game. If the Panda want to salvage this one, they need to shut it down now. They need to score, not just stop the Shadow from scoring, but score a goal of their own to really bring that train to a halt and get this one back.
Honestly, though, the Shadow, they look like a completely changed roster. That almost found its way in, and I think that may have been a Player of the Week nomination had it gone in. Almost sent it straight home from a great pass from Snazzy. Luna could not find the angle, but now a great passing play leads to a shot from Luna. Good defensive touch there from Broski, but the possession of Boost is currently firmly in the favor of the Shadow. The Pandas, they're not getting a look in on their own defense. They're being forced to wait for the Shadow to give them possession. They're not able to take it. That is the level of aggression we are seeing out of the Shadow right now, and it's really digging themselves a wonderful lead. However, that is what happens when you give away possession for too long, because the Pandas have equalized.
We talked about this. I sound like a broken record. We talked about this in the last series with that repeated pressure. Yeah, you don't have to score on the first goal. And that was something the Comets did well but couldn't finish, was get repeated pressure towards the net. Here we see that exact opposite happening, where that repeated pressure ends up in goals. And when you have these Champ League players, especially if you let them continue to attack, they're going to find success, as we see the Pandas tie this one up.
Yeah, Champion League players, for those that aren't aware, are typically your Champ 2, Champ 3 players. These are players around these ranks, and as Luna will send that one home, will immediately make it so that this, I believe he's a 14 salary, so he's sat around the Champ 2, Champ 3 bubble, will send that one home to give the Shadow another lead here in game number 3. This feels like a completely different series to the one we just watched in game 1.
It comes on the back of a couple of things. The Shadow have, as we asked, settled down a little bit with the double commits. They found a way to manage their space on the field a little bit better, but they didn't remove the aggression. They continue to be aggressive towards the ball, and that is where you are at your peak, especially in twos. If you can be almost hyper-aggressive, but not overcommit forward, and what that looks like is having one player full send attack, but as soon as they break off, be on their way back. And here, they're going to get caught in transition with a little bit of that aggression. This is the weak spot, and the Pandas able to tie it back up.
Yeah, a great bump there onto, I believe that was Snazzy there, by Broski to keep him out of the play. Was able to turn around off of the momentum he gained from that bump and send that one home. I feel like that's a little bit of a fortunate goal for them, but as of right now, the Shadow, they're not able to maintain a lead. Their defense hasn't been the greatest so far, and they're still starting to fall into some of those game 1 habits of double committing for plays that really they shouldn't have that second man forward for. But the Pandas starting to look a little bit more composed. Broski starting to get a little bit of a jive on, as he will dribble the entire team and send that one into the back of the net.
Broski Jazz walking that beat up and down the field, playing smooth, playing patient, getting that past both players. You see there's nothing crazy fancy there, not looking for a huge flick, not looking for something crazy, but just keeping good, tight control, allowing the Shadow to take themselves out of the play as they dive in and try to get that ball clear, and then very carefully just walking that one back home.
And if that isn't a Player of the Week nomination, I don't know what is, but Gualbertos, what a save there! Off of the passing play from the Shadow players, somehow found a way to get in front of the shot to keep out the Shadow, to maintain that 3-2 lead. Now the Shadow forced to try and build from their own back half, but that right there was a Player of the Week nomination save off of the back of a Player of the Week nomination goal. But Snazzy will immediately put all of this Player of the Week talk and all this Balls Garana talk behind him as he sends that one home to tie the game up.
We've seen 3 different games so far. Game number 1 was the Pandas walking all over the Shadow. Game number 2, the Shadow doing it right back to him. And now here, neither team can seem to find and hold on to a lead, as we're 3-3 just past halfway. And I think it's just going to come down to who gets the advantage when the clock clicks down. And here, so far, well, here it's the Pandas, but at the way this has been, we're going to see the Shadow coming right back.
So Gualbertos made a slight mistake on defense to give the Shadow a equalizing goal, and then immediately Snazzy makes a mistake on defense to give Gualbertos and the Pandas the lead here and get back again in game number 3. It feels like it is a game of which team makes the least mistakes now, because both teams are starting to crumble a little bit. The pressure starting to mount. Luna's going for it all by himself, can't find a way past Gualbertos with 0 boost, but really, both teams have looked solid but not unbreakable. both teams having made mistakes at several points in this series, now looking to try and force an error out of their opponents. So far there have been 2 unforced errors in this game alone, but really those unforced errors are going to come back to haunt you, especially in a situation where there's 1 goal between you equalizing and going to overtime and you being 1 game away from losing a series that is must win.
It's a must-win series, and the thing about it is you don't need the 5-0 in that last series, where really the 5-0 was kind of the big determiner if whether or not you kind of moved up in the world. They don't need it here with how tight and how close this division is. A 3-2 still sets teams up well. What did we say? It's back, and no one's getting more than a 1-goal lead.
Luna's Protector with the double touch off of the backboard to send the Shadow back onto even playing fields. I actually don't know what that car is that Luna is using. I don't want to say Maverick.
No, it's not a Maverick.
It's
because
not
the
a
Maverick
Maverick.
is beautiful and the best car in the game, and I would know, so it's not a Maverick.
Well, I would know because it's a bad car and I can recognize it immediately. But I think that it's not a Sentio either. Can someone in Twitch chat let us know what car it is that Lunas is driving currently? I'm sure that the GM who is in chat, Mr. Urinate, will be able to help us out. But right now, by the way, I don't know how none of those shots just went in. I know we haven't been calling it out, but there were 2 amazing shots on either side of the field just then that just didn't find the back of the net. And right now, both teams are going to be kicking themselves for not finding that goal when they needed to. A passing play almost finds the back of the net. With 30 seconds remaining, it's Broski versus Luna in a 1v1. He'll get it over the top. We'll send it home. And like that, the Pandas take the lead back once again.
The Pandas take the lead, but this is still such an even game. Again, let's just keep rolling on the shots, using that as kind of our measuring stick for how this has gone. We're even on shots. We've got 7 for the Shadow and 7 on Pandas. This is back and forth, and like you said, it kind of comes down to who's not making mistakes. And something I would like to see is for both teams to settle in a little bit and force the other team to create opportunities instead of just waiting for those opportunities to open up outside of that.
We now have 5 seconds on the clock. Can the Shadow find an equalizer again? Broski will look to tip this one down. Snazzy will tee that one up. It's above the net. Can Luna get it on target? That's on target. Broski will keep it out off his own post after almost getting bumped away. A great save there to secure game number 3 for the Pandas. What an ending.
This has been such a hectic series as we go back and forth between these 2 teams. I want to take a second to talk about, because we've talked about the game plenty during the game, let's talk about some playoff kind of scenarios here for the division going forward. So we're out of the scenario where one of the teams gets a 5-0 sweep. We can write that one off. That's not happening. But what are some of the other scenarios that can kind of happen going forward? For the Pandas, let's assume this stays even, but the Pandas currently with the advantage manage to eke out the advantage here. They get a 3-2. If they get a 3-2, going forward, they need the Sharks to lose 2-3 or 1-4 to the Flames. Both teams looking for the Flames to best the Sharks here going forward to improve their position in the division. On the other side, the Shadow really needed the 5-0 to force a 3-way tie for first. So at this point, they're just trying to claw out a couple of extra games so that going into next week, they're in a better position looking towards that division lead.
Yeah, and right now, honestly, the Pandas, when they've needed to, they found a way to get those goals in these tough, tight, sort of scrappier matches. And really, that's something that we haven't seen the Shadow be able to do. They've been coming from behind in that last game. They now need to find a way to get control again, like they did in Game 2, because we saw how effective they are at controlling the game once they have a lead. And as we look towards game number 4, everything to play for both teams. Playoff hopes are on the line here. This, genuinely, every single game could cost a team the playoffs or could win them a spot in the playoffs, as Broski Jazz will start things off strong for the Pandas.
Well, speaking of goals, as Broski Jazz scores one right here, is like we said at the start, it's not just every game, but every goal could be the decider between playoffs and not playoffs. So it's so important here to continue to try to eke out a higher goal differential Broski Jazz, quick punish 18 seconds into this game, and we've got the Pandas in the lead.
Yeah, I believe we have belief that this is the Peregrine TT that you are seeing currently on your screen under the usage of Luna's Protector. Everyone else, however, in the Octanes. And really, people say that cars are placebo. I sometimes don't think that they are. I feel like there is a genuine advantage to using certain cars over others. Some people prefer hybrid hitboxes because it's just a slightly flatter car. Some people prefer Dominus hitboxes because they're just such a weird car to look at, those plank sort of hitboxes. And because they have the ability to flick like crazy. Hybrids are somewhere in between an Octane, which is very good at aerial abilities, many people say. There's so many different car options that you can bring out that genuinely you get to see some weird combinations on stream. We've had a series where we haven't even seen an Octane on stream before, but as we look back to the gameplay now, the Shadow, they look a little bit aggressive here. Broski almost put that one into his own net, but there, a slight overcommit from Luna immediately goes unpunished because Snazzy sent that one back into the Pandas half, but they're definitely getting a little bit too aggressive here, and if they can't find a goal soon, I feel like they'll find themselves caught out by a counterattack.
I'm really seeing it out of both teams. Both teams look to be really trying to push the offensive end, and I know it's been a little weird to say about the Pandas, who spent so long on defense right here, but when they get that opportunity to send it upfield, both players are going. If either team can find a way to punish these aggressive upfield plays, they're going to come out on top here, but so far, we're fairly even. We've got 2 shots to the Shadow and 1 to the Pandas, but we're coming up on halfway through this game, and it's only a 1-goal game.
Many people are now confused whether or not this supercar-style model is actually anything that we know of, because the assumption is it's a Peregrine TT, but we actually don't know. Even our regular statsman in chat does not know which car this is, because Luna's favourite car is a Merc. So we've got nothing, people. We're sorry, we can't help you with the car. But right now, the Pandas, they have control of this game. They're looking to take control of the series, and that flick from Broski Jazz will just about do it. 2 goals up, 2:19 remaining. Can they hold on?
I don't know. It's been such a crazy back and forth series, and the way this game has been fairly even. We've got the Shadow bringing really good offensive pressure up the field. They're just not finding a way to finish it out. We need to see them get good looks on net, not just contained in the Pandas' end.
It is the Peregrine TT. Okay, we've got a full confirmation, people. No need to keep asking. With this whole game-long debacle now can come to an end. Yeah. Now Snazzy will send it home off of that aerial shot to immediately half the lead of the Pandas. A good pass there from Luna to tee it up. Broski not able to read it properly. Gualberto's trying to rotate back post, just out of position there, and a great shot from Snazzy will keep this game close. Fruity don't start. We're back in this one. 2-1 for the Pandas.
We talk a lot about momentum, and that was so important there for the Shadow to slow down this Pandas momentum and try to recover game number 4 here, as it's been so back and forth. The Pandas were allowed to score, I think, 1 more goal. It would have really put them in a position to run away with it. But now we got a game on our hands. It's a little over 90 seconds left, and we've got 1 goal differential.
Apologies are accepted here. Snazzy looking for another shot. Broski Jazz. Good save at the near post. Now we'll look to try and take it past the midfield line. Didn't have control of the ball, but did get control of Luna's car as he sent it into outer orbit. Now Snazzy looking to try and take control of the midfield. A good 50 there from Luna. That one's on target. No, it's not. It's off the bar, and out. That shot should have found the back of the net, but the Peregrine TT not able to find it just yet. Now another opportunity for the Shadow, but they can't find a way past the defense. Gualberto's not going to find the angle. We'll look to pinch it down. Can't even find that touch. Shot from Broski will find the back of the net, and the Pandas take a 3-1 lead here in game number 4.
We've got a crazy scramble up and down the field. Both teams getting looks, and finally the Pandas able to finish it off with just a good, nice touch. Catching the Shadow, scrambling on their goal line, no one in the good position, and able to push that one back into the one spot you're not going to make a save.
A great shot there, and now everything has to be done right from the Shadow. They cannot afford to make another mistake. They're 2 goals down, less than a minute remaining. I have just choked on my own saliva. They need to find a way to score 2 goals, to take this to overtime, to even have a chance of taking the series. A good save from Broski Jazz. I believe that may or may not be his 3rd save of this game, getting the Saviour medal. He has done everything he can to secure this one for the Pandas, but now, Snazzy, they're going to take this one forward. We'll get the touch for Broski again. Consistently there, dealing with the pressure. Gualberto's now looking to clear this one long into the midfield. We'll get the touch past one. That one's almost on target. Snazzy out of position. Now, has to find the goal here to even have a hope. There's the demo. That's the open net. It's a 1-goal game. 11 seconds remaining. This could happen.
It's not over yet. 11 seconds. Actually, the one thing we haven't really seen so far tonight is kickoff goals. So if there's ever a time for the Shadow, this is it. They need to pick up a quick goal here. 11 seconds. It's very doable. And we saw a quick look, getting something they haven't done a whole lot of with that demo play, but it looks like we've got a player, DC, hanging out in the corner there. Oh. And the Shadow just need to capitalize. Here's one last opportunity with 12 boosts, and it's not going to go. The Pandas hold on to get game number 4 and the series. They're now 3-2, and it sets them up to take the division lead.
Yeah, that is exactly what they needed. They are looking so good, but when even the connection gods are against them, they found a way to hold on to that game win. And to think we still have another game to play here. It's still all to play for both teams. The Shadow, they're not out of this playoff contention yet. They are down to a 28-31 currently, but they can still, I believe I've got my math right there. Yeah, I have.
I'm just going to have to trust you on that one. But
yes, I have. 28-31 as of this game. Now looking to make it 29-31 to tie up a 60 games, I believe. I think it's total they will have played after this one. They need that to keep their playoff hopes alive. That is how... I'll say no, I tell a lie. 28-31.
Well, as we move forward here, you're right. They do need to pick up a win here to try to stay on for the playoffs. And if they go down 4-1 in this series, it's going to make it extremely tough. They do have a chance. We've got a couple of weeks left for them to pick up some wins here. But the odds go very, very low if they don't pick up some good games here.
Right now, everything needs to go right for these Shadow players. Luna and Snazzy, they need to find that same level of play that we saw all the way through game number 2 if they're to even take 2 games off of the Pandas. That is how high level this series is. It is between 2 of the best teams in Champion League, and to think that there is a good chance that one of them won't make it to the playoffs at this rate is kind of insane. The level of quality we are seeing on this field right now, everything to go. We have game at number 5 underway, and so far, the Shadow are looking amazing as Luna almost sent that one straight into the back of the net.
That's a great pick from Luna, that pass upfield, but Gualbertos is going to be the first to strike here in game number 5, and that's the Pandas again taking an early lead. Shadow, I just really think they have to strike back very, very fast to get an opportunity to take game number 5 here.
Yeah, and right now, it's been a level of consistency out of the Pandas that we haven't seen out of the Shadow. The Shadow have glimpses of greatness, but Broski and Gualbertos, they've been consistent in their playstyle. They haven't been as dominating as they have in game 1. There's another opportunity there from Lunas will go begging. Gualbertos will clear it away to the halfway line. It feels like there hasn't been a single player... Oh, Broski, stop it. Okay. I honestly thought he was going to get another one. There hasn't been a single team that have looked as consistently high quality and so consistent in these high pressure situations as the Pandas. They have not been unbeatable, but they have been unbreakable in their mentality so far, and they've been able to compose themselves to when they need to find a result. However, Snazzy, cool and calm as you like, has slotted that one home.
crossbar and down, but coming off of a Pandas mistouch, and that's what we've talked about so often through this series is teams not needing to make their own opportunities. They're just handing them to the other team, giving the opportunity for other teams to hop in and take advantage of them as they open up. And you really, I think, like you said, it all comes down to consistency. The Pandas have been consistent, and that's why they've won more games here through the series and taken the series. But if they fall off that consistency train, then it's ripe for the Shadow to come up and take advantage. That's a beautiful pass and a better shot over into the corner. Shadow up 2-1.
Absolutely beautiful placement there from Snazzy to send that one home. The pace at which he got up for it as well. Absolutely incredible, and a high quality level of play we expect to see out of Champion League players, Champ 2, Champ 3 level players to be precise. They take the lead here in game number 5. They're saying, yeah, the series is over, but our playoff hope's saying, we are going all the way. We're taking this 3-2 if we have to. We will do everything we can to stop the Pandas from taking a 4-1 victory and scooping away with the lead of the division, and right now, they're doing a great job of that.
We've talked a lot. I do want to take a second here. We talked a lot about MLE and the different things that can happen as we move into playoffs. But if you are not part of the MLE community, you're just stumbling across us here, go ahead and head on over to mlesports.gg/apply. You can join our community here, fill out the application, get on one of these teams, and maybe you'll be out here on one of these casts making a run for the playoffs. It's a great community. It's positive. We focus on community building and building each other up, and you get better faster when you're part of this community. Also, if you do join now, odds are you'll start to play here in Season 12 coming up. And in Season 12, Minor League Esports is adding 3v3 in addition to 2v2, so it's an exciting time to join the community. Also on the MLE Sports website, mlesports.gg, we've got stats, articles, power rankings, merch, anything you would expect to see out of a competitive league. So mlesports.gg and mlesports.gg/apply. Go ahead and check us out.
Yeah, and to think, we've had 11 seasons of MLE, going all the way back to MLD, when it first was birthed as minor league doubles. Now, sitting atop a throne as the dogs bark in the background, they know how excited this is, because right now the Shadow lead 3-1. 11 seasons of 2s, we finally bring a season of 3s in for Season 12. I can't wait, personally, as a GM of the Foxes, I cannot wait to see how much 3s re-inspires a lot of players to really achieve their best potentials yet and become such a strong community. However, speaking of community, the Pandas have a great one, and Broski Jazz is a main part of it, as he sends that one straight into the back of the net from his own half.
That's a great pick. Good turn on the wall to get that one back and sending it accurately all the way down the field. Who knows if that was intended or they're just trying to get it clear and break up that offensive opportunity. But either way, as much as Sleegy hates to hear it, she's not Sleegy, Leachy, we take those goals as goals. And now with 90 seconds remaining, we've got a 1-goal differential. But we do have the Shadow in the lead, looking to maybe take game number 5 here and end this series 3-2.
Yeah, the Shadow, they've looked good when they're in the lead. They don't deal too well, however, with those high pressure situations. When they find themselves coming under fire, they crumble like a sandcastle without any water in the bucket. It just falls apart at the base, and right now they're looking to try and add to their base, add a second goal as a comfort zone, but they can't find a way past the Pandas defense that have looked so good almost all series long. Broski Jazz with a great save to keep that one out. Snazzy shots off target, but there's Luna to make a recovery, sends it home. There's nothing Gualbertos could do. 4-2 Shadow.
And this is again where we see that aggressive, quick turn, upfield play style of the Shadow pay off. And that is a 2-goal lead with 47 seconds to go. We've seen the Pandas strike fast. We know they can put up a lot of goals in a short amount of time, but this puts tons and tons of mental pressure on these Pandas players, and it makes it a very difficult uphill battle to try to recover this game and take game number 5.
40 seconds remaining. The Pandas need to turn up here at the back half of Game 5 if they are to look to take this series 4-1 and push on for the top of their division, that automatic qualification spot in the playoffs. Gualbertos will look to take this one forward. They're trying to turn up their content just like APM turns up MLE's content, but they can't find a way past that Shadow defense yet. Snazzy now coming forward, will get the pass off to Luna. Luna will get it over the top of one, but Broski will clear it off his own backboard. Gualbertos will clear it into the corner, and the game will begin to settle down once again. The Pandas, I think, are coming to terms with the fact that they aren't getting the game win here, but they have the series win. a series they desperately needed to win to continue to further their hopes of earning the top spot in their division and top of the Tropic division, ahead of the Sharks, ahead of the Flames, and ahead of the Shadow. It has been a great series and a great game here from the Shadow, who will take this one, I believe, 4-2 as soon as this ball will touch the ground. So we're going on for quite a while. There we go. Shadow take game 5. But the series goes to the Pandas. 3-2, a wonderful series, and a great way to cap off our little time commentating.
Well, you mentioned here that it's got the potential to put the Pandas as the leader of their division on this 3-2 victory, but we will find out if that's going to happen or not on MLE Sports GG2, which I believe is the next series over there. So if you are curious, you can head on over and check it out. But otherwise, we have more MLE action for you here tonight here on MLE Sports GG. But if you're like me, it's been a lot of high energy. It can be a little bit draining, and you need a little bit extra energy. If you need some more energy, Balls Guarana is the drink to turn to. They're a sponsor of the league, and genuinely, it is a great caffeinated beverage. It's what I turn to whenever able if I need a little extra energy. You may have seen me sipping on it here tonight. Balls Guarana, give them a look. There's actually a sale on. I don't remember the coupon code. I know I'm the worst person ever. There is a sale on right now for us for...
I'm going on Twitter. You carry on. You keep talking.
Okay.
I'm finding
There is a sale for Balls Guarana for free shipping for those of us in the U.S. I apologize if you're not in the U.S. You probably don't get free shipping. But if you're in the U.S., make sure you look them up and give them some love coming from the MLE community. I have had a fantastic time casting here tonight. We've got more Rocket League action, but we're going to get our casters swapped out a little bit here as I go and feed and walk my dogs. I have been Lars Newt. Joining me here has been Fallen. Fallen's got the code for you. I'm going to stop talking.
Treat 20, capital T, capital R, capital E, capital A, capital T, 20. No spaces. That is your code if you want to get free shipping for Balls Guarana here the Halloween weekend. It closes out at the 2nd of November, if I remember correctly. And it's a great way to get yourself into drinking Balls Guarana. I know you personally love the drink. I need to get myself more, so I don't have to keep drinking my non-caffeinated, my caffeinated nondescript beverage. Have to make sure I get that right every time. Eventually they might sponsor me. I don't know. Either way, thank you all for tuning in for tonight's Rocket League gameplay. We do have 2 more series coming up over on this channel. We have another series going on over on the second channel. Please feel free to tune in to both if you can. Watch both series because we've got some great action coming your way. Stay tuned. I believe, however, before we go, we might have Play of the Week. No, we don't have Play of the Week this week. Never mind. We'll see you all in 10 minutes.